I'm Craig Cohen. Today on Houston Matters, we're broadcasting live from the Rodeo.
Houston Matters with Craig Cohen is a production of Houston Public Media with support from Baylor College of Medicine.
Coming up this hour, we discuss Houston's biggest annual party with Chris Boleman, President and CEO of the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo. Also ahead, the future of water in Texas and how the need for it will affect the state's agriculture. Then we go shopping for Western wear inside the exhibitor hall at NRG Center. Plus, we learn more about one of the more popular events at the rodeo, the annual calf scramble. Thanks for joining us on News 88.7. Remember to check out our live video feed on Houston Public Media's YouTube channel. We'll start with a news update from NPR and News 88.7. Stay with us.
Live from NPR News in Washington, I'm Corva Coleman. The U.S. and Israeli war against Iran has widened again today. Officials in Azerbaijan say drones launched from neighboring Iran hit one of its airports. Meanwhile, Israel's military says it has expanded its strikes on Iran as it also battles Hezbollah in Lebanon. NPR's Daniel Estrin reports from Tel Aviv.
Israel's military says it has expanded its strikes to the cities of Isfahan, Qom, and Shiraz, targeting some Iranian underground compounds storing long-range missiles. And an Israeli fighter jet shot down an Iranian aircraft, the first time a U.S.-made F-35 fighter jet has shot down a manned airplane. Israel's military says it wants to weaken the capabilities of Iran's regime as much as possible. Israel is also fighting a second front against Hezbollah, Iran's proxy in Lebanon. The group has fired rockets reaching as far as central Israel. The Israeli military says its goal is the complete disarmament of Hezbollah. Daniel Estrin, NPR News, Tel Aviv.
The House is set to take a vote today on a war powers resolution. It would limit President Trump's future military actions against Iran. A similar measure failed yesterday in the Senate, mostly along party lines. Wisconsin Republican Senator Ron Johnson voted against the resolution. He spoke to NPR's Steve Inskeep and explained his vote.
I think the primary restraint on any president of the United States is public opinion. What you don't want to do in a terribly divided Congress is hold a vote that shows us divided. That would not be good in a war effort. It would not be good for our troops. It would not be good for success in the operation.
Did it with the Iraq War, both Iraq wars.
Well, and there was overwhelming support for those. Probably shouldn't have gone to war at that point in time.
Are you saying we should avoid a vote because the country is not behind the war?
What I'm saying is right now, somebody's got to make the decision. That's the commander-in-chief.
He spoke to NPR's Morning Edition. Stocks opened mixed this morning as retail gasoline prices continue to climb. NPR's Scott Horsley reports the Dow Jones Industrial Average tumbled about 300 points in early trading.
Gasoline prices jumped by another nickel a gallon overnight, pushing the national average to $3.25 a gallon. AAA says gas prices have jumped by about 25 cents over the last 3 days and are now about 15 cents higher than this time last year. Crude oil prices are also climbing as the U.S. war with Iran disrupts tanker traffic in the Middle East. A specialized trade court has ordered the Trump administration to refund tens of billions of dollars worth of tariffs that the Supreme Court ruled were collected illegally. The process for repaying that money still has to be worked out, but so far courts have slapped down the administration's effort to slow walk the process. New applications for unemployment benefits held steady last week. We'll get a more complete report on the job market tomorrow. Scott Horsley, NPR News, Washington.
Again on Wall Street, the Dow's down 300 points. This is NPR.
Live from News 88.7 in Houston, I'm Matt Harab. President Trump says he will make an endorsement in the Texas GOP Senate race. Incumbent John Cornyn and Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton are in a runoff after Tuesday's election. Trump says he will announce his endorsement soon so Republicans can focus on the Democratic nominee, James Tallarico. The president says after the endorsement, he wants the other candidate to drop out of the race. Stay with us in the coming weeks for the latest leading into multiple major runoff elections in the area that are coming up at the end of next month. Meanwhile, as Houston Mayor John Whitmire's administration increased efforts to address street homelessness last year, the Houston Police Department ramped up citations for violations of the city's sidewalk rules. An analysis of municipal court records by us and the Media Innovation Group at UT Austin reveals increased enforcement in an area where a shelter and services center is slated to open later this year. year. As our Dominic Anthony Walsh reports, it's an example of criminal enforcement outpacing housing and services.
Officers issued nearly 2,000 tickets in the second half of 2025, about double the number in the first half of the year. City officials say they moved about 200 people into housing from the central urban core last year. In the final 3 months of the year, officers turned their attention to East Downtown, issuing more than 200 tickets near an upcoming, controversial 240-bed shelter and service center. Hannah Leibovitz with the Institute of Urban Studies at UT Arlington is not surprised enforcement came first.
Providing services does take longer than just having, a cop come out and forcibly remove somebody from an area.
The East Downtown Center is expected to open by June. I'm Dominic Anthony Walsh, News 88.7.
As you just heard on NPR, gas prices are rising significantly nationally, and that is true in the Houston area as well. The average price for a gallon of regular is now 30 cents higher than this time last week in our city, sitting at $2.78 a gallon for regular, according to AAA. Experts say this is likely due to the Middle East conflict intensifying. Prices could stay up as long as that conflict is ongoing. Overcast skies right now, currently 71 degrees here on the UH campus. We'll hit a high of 82 today. I'm Matt Harrop, News 88.7.
Live from the 2026 Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo, this is Houston Matters. I'm Craig Cohen. Thanks for joining us on News 88.7 and Houston Public Media's YouTube channel. We are live here today from the world's largest event of its kind. We're located in the Rodeo's Champion Wine Garden at NRG Park, and our Hello Houston colleagues will broadcast live from here from 11 to 1 today. So if you are planning on coming to the rodeo this morning, be sure to drop by and say hello. We are just to the right of the entrance between NRG Center and the Astrodome. The Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo has been doing its thing since 1932, showcasing generations of agricultural tradition, awarding scholarship money, presenting concerts, hawking Western wear, and offering just about everything imaginable that you could deep fry and put on a stick. At the helm of this enormous annual operation is Chris Boleman. He's an agricultural scientist turned nonprofit CEO. Chris, welcome back to Houston Matters. Good morning.
It's great to be here. It's our annual time together, so looking forward to it.
And I guess we should say up front, while I characterized it as an annual endeavor, the truth is it's a year-round effort.
It is definitely a year-round endeavor with an annual time of March to celebrate, that's for sure. But, yes, we work tirelessly year-round to make sure we can put this on.
What does a nearly century-old institution now look like from the inside? Is it a living, evolving thing, or do you spend a lot of energy kind of protecting what already works?
All the above. I do think everything that we do sticks to the mission, which you highlighted when we started off with. This show started off about promoting agriculture, and we're still there today. Obviously, we've added a lot of other depth and pillars to it as we've grown through the community, but we can never lose sight of our foundation of really promoting agriculture. I say all the time, the countries are the safest are the ones that can feed themselves. And when you live in the fourth largest city in the country, most considered the most diverse, this is our time to tell the story of our food and fiber industry, to make sure people really appreciate what the agriculture community does for our folks.
And, of course, that's your background as well. How much does that shape your vision?
Well, there's no question that, from my background and how I was raised, it's really important to me. But I also think that as in serving in this role, it's all about telling the story in a way that's meaningful and that can connect with the audience. And so that's what we do here. As we stay core to our mission, at the same time, you have to be flexible and adaptable to what's going on in the world. I say, what would our seven forefathers that started this show in 1932, what would they say if they looked at it today? Would they recognize it? And I think they would. Here we are promoting agriculture in a community like Houston. I think they would be proud of what we are, but they've also seen how we've become more adaptable to meet the needs of our community and to really celebrate our community through our educational commitment, through the utilization of 36,000 volunteers. That's how this engine is powered. And so, yeah, I mean, I think, again, you have to be who you are as a nonprofit to your mission, but also understand the community you're in.
All right, well, let's talk about adaptability.
Okay.
And this year, what's different this year that you've had to adapt?
Sure. I think first and foremost, there's a 21st performance. And so that means we start a day earlier. And so because of that, that changes things and changes the structure, and probably is the most impactful thing from an operational point of view when we have the World's Championship barbecue that wrapped up on Saturday, and then we're actually opening on Monday, and then we're ending again with a concert-only performance, which makes us unique. But as you look across the grounds, every year we try to add and adapt and try new things without messing up what we know we do really well, that we know folks want to come out to and they want to be a part of. And so it's always a mixture and balance of that as we go through the year. But no question, I think the uniqueness of this year is the extra day. In a way, you don't really need to sell things like the concerts. I mean, you do, but you know what I mean. The concerts, to a degree, sell themselves. The food, to a degree, sells itself. The rodeo events themselves, to a degree. So I imagine you spend a lot of time focusing more on things like the scholarships that you hand out. More than 23,000 of them, valued at more than $320 million since 1957. And if I recall correctly from past conversations we've had, the number's been increasing year over year in more recent years, right? The rodeo's raising more towards those scholarships than in the past. Absolutely. Yeah, and it's another place where we are adapting in the moment. And what we've seen, our total giving is $660 million to the youth of Texas since we started. As you mentioned, it's 300 plus in scholarships. Also, we have funds and grants, and then to our 4-H and FFA exhibitors through the auction. But one of the key areas of growth really under our current chairman of the board, Pat Mann-Phillips' time is we've really started to grow in the vocational and workforce space. We know there's a lot of students that may not be as interested in going to a four-year college or university, but they want training and certification in something. And so we've definitely beefed up our vocational commitment. So if you want to work in HVAC or welding or whatever the electrician, whatever the case may be, we're trying to grow that particular area, which is how really and truly we got to the educational commitment this year. It's the first time we've ever been over 30 million, and that's in large part because of the growth around the vocational. How do you measure the long-term impact of the funding and the efforts that you just talked about, whether it's training, for vocational training, or really even very early on with 4-H programs? Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, from a quantitative point of view, every student that we have on scholarship, we stay in touch with. They become a part of our organization. They become a part of our alumni. So we can follow them. We follow them, obviously, throughout their collegiate career. We've added an achievement scholarship because we also see that as students get to the finish line, sometimes that's where they need a little help compared to the initial give and the scholarship piece. So we're able to definitely follow them. As it relates to 4-H and FFA, which is also my career background, we work with these students year round. We work with their county extension agent, their 4-H agent. We work with their FFA advisor too. And so we like to think that we're a piece of their educational growth. This is for them, a lot of them, this is their Super Bowl, or maybe another analogy, this is their Friday Night Lights when you compare to high school. And so we want to make sure that we're providing programs that are of interest to them. And again, back to adaptability. In addition to showing livestock projects here, which we've always traditionally done, we've grown in a lot of areas where maybe kids in urban areas don't have a space to raise a goat or a pig or a steer. So we've added so many competitions. Our food challenge, Ag Mech is obviously a huge one for us. Industrial craft competition we've added, and so even robotics. And so we continue that's how we work with those 4-H and FFA advisors to ensure that what we're providing here can be supported by them. And they bring us new and fresh ideas that the students would want to participate here at the show. Is that a bit of a cultural challenge? I mean, you think about this is an event rooted in rural and agricultural experiences and culture, and you're talking about kids and adults in many cases who you would want to visit the rodeo who don't have that connection. Right. Yeah. And so you want to help provide it, but at the same time, you got to get them through the door in the first place. That's right. Yeah. I mean, it's an ongoing, it's what we're trying to do. And you mentioned it earlier that a lot of times our entertainers are the driving force. Those artists are the driving force of why you buy a ticket. But once you come onto the grounds, you experience so much more. And even in our performance, our strategic plan, I should say, we have a measure for first-time attendees. That's critically important to our show. We roughly look at about 17 to 20% of the folks that come on the grounds, they're first-time attendees. We do that through surveys on site and through follow-up. That is really, really important to us because a lot of times folks, particularly coming from the outside, and we have so many new people moving to Houston every day that they don't know exactly what they're coming to. So we want to get them out and get them early, and so they can be a part of it and understand it's much bigger than just a stadium performance. Matter of fact, last year was the first year on record that we had 2.7 million people here, which was a record, but we had more attendance outside the stadium than inside the stadium. And a lot of that goes back to us trying to freshen it up and try different activations outside.
Still, those concerts, that's what draws a lot of people in the first time. So a big part, I imagine, of that success begins with identifying who are the right performers and how do you get them. How does that work?
Yeah, that's another year-round approach. We're already working on the 2027 lineup, and so yes, we have a couple of folks that help us. We have actually a full-time staff of 2 that work tirelessly year-round to book not only the 20 acts, but another couple of hundred across the grounds, including several that are every night here in the Wine Garden. So that's what they do. We do work with a lot of the big agencies that do the touring, that work on tours really in the country and then worldwide. And so we have friends in Nashville, we have friends in LA too, that help us identify who's on tour, who's up and coming. We also have a lot of traditional artists that love coming to our show. The perfect example of that is Tim McGraw. He's such a fan of our show. We've known him for years. He's closing us out before on the finals of this year. So it's a combination of finding the up-and-comers like Forrest Frank, one of the top-selling acts this year, with the traditional ones that love us like Tim McGraw, Chris Stapleton, and those guys. And so you're trying to bring something a little bit for everybody. Rascal Flatts was here last night. J Balvin the night before. 2 totally different audiences, but hopefully audiences that can come out, enjoy themselves, and appreciate what we're doing here.
You rely on some 35,000 volunteers to pull this off each year. This is an era when volunteerism has been declining nationally. What keeps the culture alive here?
Yeah, and so it's up to 36,000, but that's all good. And so, it's through the 109 committees. And I think in a community like this, we have a long waiting list of people that want to volunteer, which, as you mentioned, is unique to most organizations. And I think it's because we really build communities within communities. I know what our volunteers would tell you is when you look at the 109 committees, they're kind of their own little community. They work tirelessly year-round, too. This is really the celebration of their hard work throughout the year. So they're meeting ongoing, and they've created their own little culture with, I'd say, each committee is its own living organism out here. And then also, it's generation to generation to generation. I was just talking to a volunteer that just graduated from college. They're in their first or second year as a volunteer in their 3rd generation. So it's a part of the DNA of our community, and it just continues to grow. And obviously, it's connected to our mission. People are very passionate about Western heritage, promoting agriculture, and, of course, supporting education.
We are here in the Wine Garden. We're in the shadow of the Stuart Lang statue, one of your predecessors from the 1960s. Have you contemplated the possibility, you've been doing this for a while now, that a day will come there might be a statue of you somewhere on these grounds? And if that should ever happen, where would make the most sense?
I don't know. It's not about me. It's about the organization. We were asked the other day, what event do we like the most? And I will tell you, I grew up showing steers and heifers and pigs here. I grew up in College Station. My dad was a College of Ag professor there, and so I'm definitely committed to the agriculture piece of the mission. And I'm not. I think more than anything, I like to be connected to the youth part of the show because that's my background. And for me, I love watching these kids come on and just get the opportunity to do what they do. If it's public speaking, if it's ag mech, if it's showing a goat, I just know the time and effort the kids put into it, and that's what's so meaningful for me.
Chris Boleman is president and CEO of the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo. Chris, thank you very much.
You bet, man. Thank you all for being here and all the support.
And up next, Texas is projected to face increasing water shortages in the coming years as we celebrate all things agricultural at the Livestock Show and Rodeo. What are the implications for farmers and ranchers across the state if there's not enough water to go around? We discuss as Houston Matters continues from the rodeo on News 88.7 and YouTube.
You count on Houston Public Media. That's why you're here right now. Take the next step and become a new member today. Every gift makes a difference. And with a gift of $5 a month or more, you'll receive PBS Passport, a member benefit that lets you stream more of the shows you love anytime. It only takes a minute to make a big difference. Join as a new member today at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or call 800-364-8300.
Care. Houston Matters with Craig Cohen is made possible in part by Ellen Benninghoven and Dr. Michael Schaefer, with gifts from listeners like you.
Support comes from the Houston Symphony, featuring pianist Jan Liszewski in Mozart's Piano Concerto No. 9 with Elgar's Enigma Variations, conducted by Vasily Petrenko, March 13th through 15th at Jones Hall. Tickets at houstonsymphony.org.
Live from the 2026 Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo, this is Houston Matters. I'm Craig Cohen. According to the Texas Water Development Board, as the state population continues to grow, estimated demands on water are expected to outpace a dwindling supply. By 2070, the board projects a 9% increase in demand, while supply drops by 18%. And sure, that may seem like a long way away, but I remind you it is as close to 2026 as E.T.'s first release in theaters. This will affect a lot of Houstonians alive today, and especially their kids and grandkids. A lot of factors like drought and depleted groundwater supply have contributed to less water availability. So as we celebrate all things agricultural at the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo this morning, we also remember that successfully raising livestock or growing crops is heavily dependent on water. As a need for increased municipal supply grows, never mind those AI server farms popping up across Texas, how do we continue to support the needs of real farmers and ranchers across the state? That's what we're going to talk about now. That relationship in particular between Texas agriculture and its water supply, with Jon Garza, an international representative for the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo, Alfredo Muskus, a generational Texas rancher, and Dr. Matthew Berg, CEO and principal scientist at Simfero, a consulting firm that engages in water resources research. Welcome to you all. Good morning.
Howdy. Good morning.
Matt, let me start with you. How did we get to the point where we're facing these looming and growing shortages of water across the state?
Well, I'd say you'd have to turn back the clock even farther. There's, depending on who you want to talk to, an old quote that Texas is a land of perennial drought, interrupted by the occasional devastating flood. And that's always been the state of play here in Texas. And sometimes we've popped up industries that are a little bit more dependent on stable conditions. That could be row crop agriculture. That could be the livestock numbers that have boomed and busted over a couple of different centuries here. But we are very much a changing state, especially over the last few decades, where for the longest time, agriculture was the biggest water user. And that intersection point with municipal demand is very much upon us, and it's not going to go back the other direction. So things like row crop agriculture that need irrigation, that's actually projected to be the biggest unmet need going into the future. So as Texas changes, where the water demand is also very much changing.
John, are farmers currently facing challenges with access to water?
Actually, yes. I'm also a rancher, 10th generation rancher down in South Texas. And the farmers and ranchers, just with the amount of drops, the amount of crops are way down, which causes problems for the cattle. Drops our numbers, even though Texas is recovering from a huge deficit over the last 7-year drought that we've had, two of the last most historic droughts in history. It really takes a toll on our producers.
Alfredo, how is water used in ranching and farming?
So we use water for for watering our animals and also for hay production. This year we've had to go and we built a new reservoir on our land to hold water, and we also got a water well through the USDA. We've got to make sure those resources are in play for any future production.
Is the state's agriculture, Matt, going to have to compete with the growing number of data centers using water?
It very much already is. And it's a question of values, and at some level that's not just at the state or regional level, but it's a question and conversation for individual families. Is their legacy going to be something that continues into the future? They want to change. Generations are asking those questions in the families right now, and supplies are already tight in a number of different places. That's not going to be an easy conversation. So it's a place by place, but at the same time, it is a state level conversation.
John, is there a way to coexist with these server farms?
I believe so. We're going to have to coexist. There's great technology coming out within the industry to help reduce the amount of water that is used. And the only other thing we can do is pray for more rain.
Matt, what about increased demand from municipal areas?
Yes, very much. And that is going to be, well, until this big boom with the servers that you mentioned, the data center boom that we're in right now, that was the big driving bump in future projected demand. So I think those together are going to be the answer. I think there are going to be some opportunities where it becomes a little bit maybe less competitive between rural, urban areas. If you do things right, I think there could be some room for regionalization, cooperation. So you don't have to build the same system for everybody in every place, but there might be ways to work together to kind of bring down the cost and spread it around. But that does mean trade-offs. Every single one of these conversations about who uses water for what is just ripped through with all trade-offs. And it's a question of what does Texas look like? What do we want it to look like?
And then on top of all of that, Alfredo, there's also drought, which is fun, and has been an issue in recent years. How are livestock faring these days following a period of a few different droughts?
I think you have to learn to manage it. You don't want to overproduce livestock, and you want to have enough in your ranch. Again, like I said, you want to get out there and have the resources when needed. So we built some water wells. You can go ahead and out there and build some lakes, but you have to learn to manage it. That's the biggest part. It's unpredictable.
Man, I think we've talked a lot about what the issues are here in terms of water supply and demand. What's the solution?
I think it's going to be one of those where there is not a silver bullet. I like some folks that say there are things that may be called silver buckshot. So a lot of different bullets going in a lot of different directions, but towards a common goal. And I think one of the things that is exciting about some big new funding that got passed in the state legislature last year is money that can go towards things like agricultural water conservation. And that's going to be a big need. I think choices of what crops are grown and where will very much be a question. Right now, as these gentlemen I'm sure can tell you, the biggest driver in things like how big your herd is, it's actually international commodity economics. So local conditions are very much a piece of that, but it's a big worldwide story that they're playing into. So I think recognizing that isn't the only pain point, sometimes not even the biggest one, understanding that there's a lot of other factors in play, working with stakeholders across the board, even though we like to paint city versus country, all our economics are very much intertwined. So making sure everybody has a seat at the table to figure out how can we scratch each other's back in a way that benefits everybody while also maybe making trade-offs across everybody. That's going to have to be part of it.
John, among other technologies and concepts that people talk a lot about are efforts like desalination plants and things to try and increase drinkable water, try and increase water that is going to benefit livestock and so forth. Is that something that ranchers are paying attention to and weighing in on?
Well, I'm not so much sure about that, but I do know that there is a lot of work going in. I know the City Council of Corpus Christi recently voted in and authorized a desalination plant for Corpus Christi. Now they're just trying to figure out exactly where it's going to be placed along the Laguna Madre area, because the amount of water in Lake Corpus Christi is at record lows, and there's just no water.
But even that is sort of an on-again, off-again project, a lot of back and forth about whether they can afford it, do it, the benefits of it. And I guess I'm curious, and maybe Alfredo, you want to jump in here, is it the kind of thing that you see ranchers like yourself saying, well, maybe we need to be more vocal about any and all ways to increase water supply to offset this increasing demand?
I mean, I definitely agree. I think that's something that you can talk with some of the policymakers on ways to advance that. And also there's education. We come to Rodeo Houston and we talk with our peers, and this is a subject that's being talked about. So I would agree on that.
All right. And to that end, John, how does the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo fit into all of this?
Great question. The Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo, of course, agriculture is one of the four pillars of the Department of Agriculture here in Houston. We have a bunch of exhibitors, business leaders, industry businessmen and women that come here every year. In 2025, we had over 66,000 livestock, animals coming here to the show, and it's a great deal. I'm also the ambassador for the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo's International Committee, where we bring a lot of international guests coming in. We usually average around 3,000 international guests from between 85 to 90 different countries.
That's Jon Garza. As he said, he is an ambassador for the International Committee at the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo. Alfredo Muskus is a generational Texas rancher. Dr. Matthew Berg is the CEO and principal scientist at Simfero, a consulting firm that engages in water resources research. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
And just ahead, our Michael Haggerty pursues some Western wear as Houston Matters continues. Live from the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo. Stay with us here on News 88.7 and YouTube.
It's not just your car. It's the one that brought your kids home from school, took you cross-country, held memories, laughter, even a few breakdowns. When it's time to let go, give your car a new purpose. Donate it and turn memories into meaningful support for this station. Plus, you'll enjoy free and easy pickup, potential tax benefits, and a simple donation process. Your gift supports the programs you and your family love. Donate today and help keep public media strong. Call or donate online.
On News 88.7.
Support for Houston Public Media comes from Metro. Introducing the Ride Metro Fare Card. The Ride Metro Fare system replaces the Metro Q Fare Card for bus and rail fares. Details at ridemetro.org/fare system.
Tonight on Houston Public Media TV8, take a musical journey through the evolution of modern American folk music on This Land Is Your Land at 7, followed by 60s and 70s Soul Celebration at 8:30. Tonight on TV8.
Live from the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo, this is Houston Matters. I'm Craig Cohen. Houstonians don't just visit the rodeo. They dress for the occasion. They don Western wear, which may be a staple in their closet, or clothes they just dust off once a year on Go Texan Day. Well, the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo is a pretty good place to check out some Western wear. A lot of vendors sell cowboy hats and boots and the rest. Houston Matters producer Michael Haggerty did some shopping of his own this week, and he joins us now to tell us more. Hi, Michael.
Good morning, Craig.
What were you up to this week?
Well, I kind of have a shocking Houstonian confession to make. I don't exactly own any Western wear at the moment, and I figured, having lived in Texas now most of my life, that I ought to own some by now, so I sought out the help of the expert, someone our listeners are quite familiar with.
Our first show is here in Houston, and we will be showing the Breaker F1 classes first on the west side of the arena.
Okay, so I'm walking up to one of the many, many booths here inside the NRG Center where people are selling things, vendors are hawking their wares and selling all kinds of things. A lot of it is Western wear, and there's a familiar voice to a lot of our listeners here. Who is this?
This is Jared Carroll.
Can you give me a traffic update or a weather update real quick?
Yes, West Loop near the Galleria is horrible as usual.
It's a safe bet, right? Yes. Well, so we are at Carroll's Western Wear. Tell us a little bit about your booth here. This is, folks maybe know this now, you disappear from the airwaves for a couple weeks every March. Tell me about your family business.
Yeah, this is I actually work 3 weeks out of the year, and this is the time I actually work, because, radio's not work, so don't tell anybody. My folks started being out here at the rodeo in 1973, and they did it for 35 years, and my sister and I took over, and we've done it for 18 years now. So I was 2 when we started out here.
What do you enjoy about coming out here and working this? Why did you want to continue that tradition?
Well, we see a lot of our friends that we don't get to see throughout the year. It's kind of like a friends family reunion, because they'll come by the booth because we don't see people throughout the year, so they like to come by. They know where we are. They'll come by, say hi, buy something. And it's good to keep the tradition going. It's a lot of hard work, but we have people that come out here who, they were kids when they got their hats. Now they bring their kids out and their kids. So you're talking about 2, 3, 4 generations of people that have come by to say hi.
The rodeo itself is about traditions and maintaining and honoring the tradition of the Western heritage of our state and our country, and only fitting that you would want to keep another tradition within that going.
Yes, and of course this is the largest rodeo in the world, and people come from all over the world to see this rodeo. you'll have people that will specifically have a vacation in this area around the time of the rodeo so they can come here. We also see people who are here on business, and then they'll come by on business. For example, yesterday I sold hats to probably people from 8 to 10 different countries.
Already on day one.
Yes.
So we're talking here on day 2. The rodeo's just getting underway, and people aren't out yet for spring break and all the other things. It's not a weekend. We're on a weekday here. All the things that bring a lot more traffic, but you still did that kind of business on day 1 and 2.
Yes, and a lot of times people like to get out early because everything's fresh, whatever type of merchandise you're looking for, make sure nobody runs out of stuff. And a lot of times too is people like to come out during the week earlier because it's a lot less people than during the weekend. And it's easier with kids if you want to walk around and see the animals and the petting zoo and the pig races. It's easier when there's 40,000 people out here and not 200,000 people.
Yeah, no lines. Some of the food vendors I passed on the way in, some of those lines wrap around the building on a weekend.
Yes, oh, absolutely. And especially at our booth, it may be 3 or 4 people deep waiting to look at hats or buy hats. And they know that they're going to get to us eventually. But it was funny because one guy come up and he said, "Is this like a bar? You just walk up, whoever's here first, you get waited on." I'm like, yeah, basically.
Okay, so here we are. You've got obviously the glass display cases. You've got stacks and stacks of hats on those, and behind you all the shelves of hats stacked up. I mean, just run through the things you sell here. Obviously, cowboy hats, apparently.
Yes, that's the majority of our business. Probably 80 to 90% of my business are hats, and that's what a lot of people want when they come out here, because we hear multiple times a day, "This is my first rodeo, this is my first hat," or somebody that wants to win a bet, they're from Jersey. "Hey, my buddy didn't think I'd get a hat," and they would just want a hat to take home to show them that they bought a hat. So we have hats for kids, of course, different colors. You got your traditional straw colors, you got blacks, and then for adults, we have straw hats and made out of straw, and then some are made out of palm leaf. And of course, around here, summers are so hot, a lot of people wear the straw hats. Like you see sheriff deputies wearing the straw hats because they're outside in the sun, that type of thing. Or the guys that are on the farm, the tractors, they want something that breathes a little more and it's not as heavy or hot. So your felt hats, they're really good for events inside, like weddings, or if you're going to go two-stepping or something like that, you want to be dressier, that's what that's for. So we have different colors and sizes in those as well.
You got your work hat and you got your going to Gillies hat.
That's exactly right. Yeah, get on the bull, see if you can stay on for 8 seconds, yes.
Yeah. Did you learn about all this watching your parents? Did they have a physical store?
My dad did, yeah. We had 2 Western wear stores here in Houston back in the 70s and 80s, one on the northwest side and one east of downtown. And he did that for many years and then shut it down in the mid-80s when the Oilers phase and the Urban Cowboy and Bum Phillips, that whole fad kind of went away. So he got another business but kept the booth out here.
So having Western wear is kind of important in this town, even if you aren't maybe a country fan or it's not part of your attire for your work or anything like that. I mean, it's at the very least everybody wants something to wear to the rodeo and or to the office on that Go Texan Day on Fridays. Right. We're actually in a place where you kind of, no matter who you are, you kind of need 1 or 2 items in your closet.
You do. It helps if maybe you have a buckle or you have a shirt or a hat and boots. It's funny though, you mentioned Go Texans Day. It's really easy to tell the people that usually wear the stuff and the people that don't, because it looks kind of like Halloween. Hey, I have a hat on. I'm a cowboy. Not.
You look like Marty McFly in Back to the Future. What was that? 3, I guess?
Yeah, Woody from Toy Story or something.
Yeah, I'm Clint Eastwood.
Yes.
Yeah. It's too new looking, too crisp, a little too shiny, maybe a little too much of it.
Right. The boots are so new, they don't bend when you walk, that type of thing.
Yeah. Jeans aren't faded enough.
Right.
Well, I'm going to shame myself on the radio and say I don't currently own any boots or a hat. Can you help me look at some? Can you walk me through how you'd guide a newbie first-timer?
Yes, and you would be surprised. Probably the majority of people that come out here, they've never had a hat and they have no clue. They don't know what size they are, and all we do is just start trying them on. So it's either too big, too small. I've seen enough heads. I'm a pretty good guesser of sizes, so we can see how good we are with you.
Okay, all right, we're 2 here. All right, so we go to the shelf here and pull down a a nice, what is that, black felt
Yeah,
hat?
this is a black felt. Look at this.
Oh, he nailed it. He nailed it.
I nailed it, didn't I?
And that is not an easy task because I kind of have a large
You
head.
do. It's a 7.5/8.
It's a very,
but
being
that's
very
on the
vulnerable.
large end, but that's not the biggest.
Being very vulnerable on the radio here, yes.
Yes, so look
no
in the
west,
mirror,
no
see what you
Western
think.
wear and a giant head. Oh, wow, that looks pretty good.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah, got the Clint Black look, kind of that 90s, like I could wear this to something fancy.
Right. Well, the black felt, it's kind of like sometimes it's the bad guy in the Western,
Oh, right, yeah.
The sheriff does the gray hat or the white hat, but,
White hat.
Yes,
The
correct.
white hats are the good guys.
Yes, but those are better because they don't show as much dirt. I like the black.
Yeah, so the breathable hat, because I'm always hot. That's my other vulnerability here today, is that walking over here from the parking, worked up some steam there, but hot. And so these the straw hats would be a little bit more breathable then?
The straw, they have some opening above your forehead to allow heat out and maybe wind to go through, like if you're on the tractor or if you're fishing or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
So it's lighter too.
Yeah, and
It's
it
a lighter
feels,
material.
can feel a little bit more breathing happening in this.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're already not sweating as much. Look at that
Saying
one. see what
something.
you
All
think.
right, let's check it out here. Nice. That looks good too. I didn't think I'd look okay in a cowboy hat. I'm surprised myself.
Yes.
It's got something for everyone. I'm just impressed you have something that'll fit my giant noggin.
Oh, you'd be surprised. People have a lot bigger heads than you.
I hate to see that. I'm sorry.
Yes.
I'm so sorry.
It's like, hey, it's Jack from Jack in the Box.
Tell me about this one here.
Oh, that's a good one. This is a Bangora look. It's got some really good venting on top. It's a straw hat, and it's really cool for the summer. And of course, it's good too if you're out in the yard or just want some shade or at the beach or something like that. So keep the sun off your head.
Yeah, it's a good reminder. These hats, while stylish and good for lots of things, they mainly started off probably as a very utilitarian thing, keeping the sun off of your face and neck.
Yes, no doubt about that. Yeah, definitely for shade, for sure.
Yeah. Let's take a look at this one here. That's good. The different styles and stuff as far as the brim tilting up. I know sometimes you get some flat brims and that sort of stuff. Is that, or is a cowboy hat always kind of got the sides tilted up to some degree?
Yeah, they're usually turned up a little bit. Now, it all depends on someone's taste. Like some people like it more flat. And then in the front, around the hat is called the brim. And some brims, mostly 3.5 to 4 inches. Some like them longer, some shorter. But a lot of times in the front, like this one, is squared off. Now you can round it a little bit if you want, if you don't want it as pinched. And on the straws, there's a wire in the end. So it allows you to bend it and shape it. Whereas the felt, I have the steamer over here that I turned on in case that's what you wanted. So the felt material, when you steam it, it heats up the material and softens it. And then when you shape it, as it cools, it holds the shape. It's like magic.
Ah, okay. Can you show me some of the steamer here?
So if you see here, this is literally just boiling water. It's a steamer like you would use in your house to steam some clothes or something. And you got to be careful because it gets really hot. So I kind of have it angled where kids can't reach over and burn themselves.
It's kind of rectangular device with a brass nozzle on the end there that's the steam is coming out, and you're just kind of wanding that over the brim of the hat over that.
Sometimes I do it so much it's like I'm getting a facial over here.
Your pores are quite clean, and your glasses are fogging up.
Yes, they do.
Like we need more steam in Houston.
Yes. So I'm heating this up, and what's important is if you look at a hat, of course you're looking straight at it. It's like our bodies, it's half on one side and half on the other. So you have to make the hat match the other side. So it's got to be symmetrical. So there's an eye to it. It's kind of like, I've always been good in playing pool because I've got that eye-hand coordination on angles. So for hats, it's the same thing. You got to be able to look down the center and make each side match. So there's a science to it.
Think about that. Yeah, there's an art and a science to this. It's more than just plucking it off the shelf and handing it to somebody.
I took the front off a little bit from the square and I rounded it a little bit to change the whole look of the hat.
So each customer would come in and say, okay, I want this vibe a little different. Can you help me customize it?
Yes, and a lot of times there's so many different shapes and heads. There's round heads and then long oval heads. So with the steam, the shape of the hat itself comes with a kind of an average oval shape, But then with the steam, you have to either make it wider or longer to make it fit the individual. And a lot of times too, if it's a shorter lady, say she's 5'5", but she wants this hat, if it looks too big on her, I have a tool that I can actually cut down the brim because it's solid material, and it makes the whole hat look smaller.
Man, there's a lot to think about.
Yeah, there's a lot to do, especially when you're waiting on hundreds of people a day. I do this over and over again.
Well, no wonder it takes so long sometimes.
Yes.
If they're actually buying one at least.
That's exactly right. And it's all part of the price. So the customization of the hat and what you want to look, maybe you want it flat, maybe you want it curved up on the side, maybe you want the crown a little bit lower because you're short. We kind of work with the individual to see what they think, and then they look in the mirror and they say, hey, they love it, or if they don't like it, then I sell it to somebody else.
Any favorite stories of something unusual that happened selling one of these things or fitting one of these?
I have several. Like I was telling you, I have pretty good eye as far as making it symmetrical and match on both sides. And years ago, I was shaping a hat for this guy, and he put it on, and I was like, let me check it out, because I liked him to put it on to see, and it was crooked. So I kept looking, and I'm straightening it, and he's putting it on, and it's crooked, and I knew I was better than that, because my dad showed me, and I've done this for decades and decades, and I said, I want you to put on the hat, and let me see what happens. So he puts it on, and as he does, it goes sideways. He had a crooked forehead. So I had to shape it crooked, so when he put it on, it would be straight.
You wanted him to realize that and not you to tell him.
That's right. And then he realized that was the case, and we all laughed about it. Yes.
Oh, thank goodness. He laughed about it. That's good.
We didn't fight.
Yes. Oh, that's that's great. So, I mean, obviously you're continuing your family tradition and honoring the Western heritage and everything, but I mean, what do you enjoy about being out here and doing this job every year?
I think the best part is the people watching, because you have people that are really excited to be out here. When you see the kids, when they're coming by the booth and they notice the cattle that are 2 aisles from me, hey, look, cows, and they want to go pet them and stuff like that, and to see their face, and especially more so the kids than the adults, because adults, they'll get a hat for the first time and they're pretty excited about it, but the kid's face when they put it on and they look at themselves and they love it and they don't want to take it off. However, then you have some, they don't want to have anything to do with it. The parents want them to have a hat and they put it on and they throw it down the aisle. So it's pretty fun to see that. But I think all in all is that there's so much to see in here, that between you getting your first hat and you getting your fried whatever on a stick, and go ride some rides and then go see a concert, it's a lot of fun.
Houston Public Media's Jared Carroll there, manning the counter at Carroll's Western Wear, his family's longtime booth inside NRG Center, right here at the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo, where he spoke with our Michael Haggerty, who is back with me, and I see you settled on the black hat.
Yes, obviously that felt cowboy hat he showed me, opting for something I could wear to, something classy or fancy, but also maybe I could just be the bad guy in a Western.
I don't think of you as a bad guy in a Western. I think of you as a bad guy in my heart. That may not be right. Houston Matters producer Michael Haggerty, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
And still to come, scrambling for calves. Stay with us as Houston Matters continues live from the Champion Wine Garden at the Rodeo here on News 88.7 and YouTube.
We know you value Houston Public Media. That's why you're watching right now. So take the next step and become a new member of the station you rely on. Every gift makes a difference. And what matters most right now is supporting the station that brings you the news and information you rely on. It only takes a minute to make a big difference. So join as a new member today at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or call 800-364-8300.
Tonight at 6:30. Support comes from Malden & Jenkins following its merger with LaPorte CPAs and Business Advisors. The partnership expands service capabilities and national reach, offering deeper expertise and continued local support for businesses and organizations. MJCP.com.
Support for Houston Public Media comes from listeners like you and from Central Market, celebrating Women's History Month with products from women makers and owners, featuring wines, tips, desserts, dressings, and more. CentralMarket.com.
Live from the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo, I'm Craig Cohen. This is Houston Matters. And it's one of the more delightful moments of every year's rodeo. The gates swing open, and 30 teenagers sprint into the arena after 15 calves. It's called the Calf Scramble, and for the young participants, it's more than a spectacle. It's a pathway into livestock ownership, mentorship, and scholarship support. So how does catching a calf today lead to owning a heifer or steer a year later? Let's talk about it now with John Fussell. He's chairman of the Calf Scramble Greeters Committee and board member of the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo. Hi, John.
Good morning, Greg.
Okay, so for people who've never seen it, what exactly is a calf scramble? Set the scene for us, what visitors would see.
So we have 30 scramblers line up. We release the calves from the gate, bring them into the square, and we have a starter each night who drops the hat, and it's on. And it's the first 15 scramblers who catch a calf, and they enter the Calf Scramble program. They're always members or family of this program, but then they are part of the program that begins a year-long process for raising an animal.
Is there any skill development or training prior to that moment?
I think most of it's heart.
Okay. How many of the participants do tend to have an agricultural background to begin with?
You know, I would say probably 80% of our Calf Scramble participants have never raised an animal before. So it's a large number that we're teaching them something, and they're entering a process. They may continue on for the rest of their life, or it may be like, hey, that was really great, but that's not going to be a life career for me, so I'm not going to do that any longer.
For the other 20%, how many of them are former mutton busters?
You know, I think there's probably a large amount. It's a lifestyle for those 20% because they come from a background of Western heritage, agriculture. They come from that, so they've probably done that at some point in their lifetime.
Yeah, I guess let's divert for just a minute and talk about mutton busting, because that's also, to me, that the joy is watching the 5 and 6-year-olds clinging for dear life to a sheep. Can you explain that?
Well, every year when they do surveys, the number 1 and 2 events back and forth, and it alternates each year, is the Calf Scramble and mutton busting. And I mean, my kid, I had one 2 years ago. She sit over in that barn, and it was 85 degrees, and it's hot during that time. And she would loved it so much. It's basically takes an hour. You got to get in line, you sign up, and by the time and it only lasts for just a few seconds. But I'm going to tell you, she loved it. She wasn't really good at it, but she made it down a good ways. But it was you just get on and hold on for dear life, and there's no way to prepare for it. You can go, I guess, if you practice or riding on them, but if you don't have those access to doing that stuff, there's no way to prepare. And it's just like Calf Scramble. It's all about running and never giving up and keep trying. We had a young lady last night who ran, finally caught a calf. The calf, when she finally got a hold of it, it got on top of her, and she just was having a very hard time. She finally gets the halter on, and at first she had it upside down, then she got it off back on, and as she's trying to get up, the calf takes off running, and the rope ran through her hands.
Oh, no.
So at that point, the calf is eligible for another scrambler to get a hold of the calf. And she come out, I was not far away from her, and clearly upset, and she come past me. I said, "Don't quit." And she kind of nodded. I knew she was very tired. This little girl, this calf, ran to the other side of the arena, come back, and she caught the calf again.
That's great.
She caught it by the tail, was able to get the rope, get the calf. She was maybe the last one in the ring last night, but she got it, got back in, and afterwards I saw her, and she goes, "Thank you." And I'm like, man, that really makes you feel good of like, you can give some encouragement and some positive reinforcement to somebody, and she didn't quit, and it was so great last night.
I experienced that rope going through the hands thing on a ski slope once at a rope tow. It was a sad affair, and I don't like to linger on it, but I know how that feels, and I'm really glad to hear that she stayed at it and was able to catch the calf.
She did.
What kind of mentorship or support do participants receive in the months leading up to showing an animal then the following year?
So part of the program with Calf Scramble is we assign each scrambler or exhibitor, after they finish scrambling and they purchase their animal, they actually come an exhibitor to the program. So we assign a greeter to them that will mentor or help them facilitate throughout the year. So they have to do monthly reports, essays, business plans. But in November, in the fall, the Calf Scramble hosts a progress show. Again, 80% of these kids have never shown an animal. So this progress show, we bring them in. This is a Calf Scramble only thing. We host it out at the Washington County Fairgrounds. We bring in only Scramble kids. So they get to bring them in, and we provide judges that when they come into the ring, per se, here in Houston, it is a show. It is fast. Those judges look at those animals. They don't give any feedback, and they rank them, and it's over. At our show, they'll come in and say, hey, look, you need to work with your animal a little more. You need to tweak your feeding program. Hey, you got a good-looking heifer or steer, but you maybe need to do this. And these judges help them do that. And so that's in November. We finish out the year. We bring them around then toward the end of the year. Before they come back in March, they have to do their final assessments to their business plan, and we bring them back in. And we have a Calf Scramble only show for heifers and steers. Now, they can enter the junior show as well, but we have a Scramble show only that they have a process of completing their year and not competing against everybody that's out there in the market.
Our producer, Brenda Valdivia, was invited to meet and announce some of the participants in tonight's rodeo. What events do you think she and others need to see this year?
Events here at the rodeo?
Yeah.
Oh, but of course the Scramble. We've got mutton busting. There's a lot of different things. I'm a big rodeo guy, so I love watching the rodeo.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't get to watch the rodeo every night because we're working and we're preparing for the Scramble and all the things about to happen that night, every night. But there's a lot of great things. One of the favorite things is, like my kids and a lot of kids in the Livestock barn over here in the NRG Center is the birthing center. There are so many animals born every day and throughout rodeo every year. And we're not talking about just baby chickens. We did a walking tour 2 days ago with our committee for our rookies and committee members, and we were there. There was a baby lamb born while we walked up. Now, we were only there for like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And it was happening as we walked up, so it's a great thing. There's a lot of great things out there in the barn.
Yeah.
A lot of great things for not just adults, but for kids as well.
John Fussell is chairman of the Calf Scramble Greeters Committee, board member of the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo. John, thank you very much.
Craig, thank you very much for having me today.
And that will do it for our big show from the rodeo, but stay tuned for Hello Houston's live show from this very same spot starting at 11 this morning. The Houston Matters team includes Michael Haggerty, Joshua Zinn, Brenda Valdivia, Mincho Jacob, and Laura Walker. Tom Carter was our technical director today. Special thanks today to Shannon Harrison and Todd Hulslander for running the technical side of things here from the rodeo. Thanks also to all the folks behind the scenes at the rodeo itself for hosting us today. On tomorrow's show, we'll talk with Marion Luntz, curator of film and video at the Museum of Fine Arts Houston, about its upcoming Moonlight Movies. That's an outdoor film screening series, and this month's theme is time travel. Films being shown include Back to the Future, Time Bandits, and 13 Going on 30. Also, this week's non-expert panel weighs in on intrigues in the news on the good, the bad, and the ugly. Plus, we'll preview the upcoming Theater District Open House. I'm Craig Cohen. Join us tomorrow for those and other Houston Matters.
Support for Houston Public Media comes from listeners like you and from Baylor College of